Hi, I'm Bob Spinozzi. The Littleton Police Department has been in existence since 1930. 1930. We were a farming community. It wasn't until 1955 that traffic became a concern and 3 crossing guards were appointed to safeguard the town's school children. The department began to grow in the 1960s with the construction of Route 495, more people, and greater demand for public safety. On today's program, we're happy to have with us Police Chief John Kelly, and we're going to talk about our police department here in 2007. John, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
For coming here with me today. You've been in Littleton for just a little bit of time, haven't you?
Just a little.
Can you tell us something about yourself and your department?
Sure. I'm somewhat like Carl Yastrzemski. I've only had one job, only played for one team. I came here to Littleton, and I didn't even know where Littleton was. I grew up in Reading, Mass. Had no idea where this community was. When I was 21 or 22, Tom O'Day, my predecessor, was in the National Guard. I was in the National Guard, and although he left the company I was in prior to my joining it, we had mutual friends, and I was pushed towards Littleton because I was interested in law enforcement, and met with him one day and was hired as a part-time dispatcher in 1982. And since that time, 24 years. I spent 2 years as a part-time dispatcher, was hired as a patrolman, spent 5 years as a patrolman, was promoted to the position of sergeant, occupied that space for 9 years, and now I've been chief for a little over 8. So that's my tenure in Littleton.
Well, that's great. That's like you say, you and Yaz, one team, one lengthy amount of time. Right now, John, how many officers do you have on your force? How many full-time, how many part-time?
When I came to the community, I was the 14th officer, and that happens to be where we are right now. We currently have 14 patrolmen, or full-time police officers, including myself, Lieutenant Matt King, the sergeants, detectives, and patrolmen. So there's a total force of 14 police officers.
14 full-time or
14 full-time police officers.
And then part-time?
Part-time, I have approximately 8 that work. Some of them only work details, which are the road jobs, construction jobs, and some of those are actually qualified as reserve officers, and they go through additional training in order to augment our patrol force. So they are actually full-fledged police officers, but they do it on a part-time basis.
Okay, and how many vehicles are in town right now?
We have 5 marked cruisers.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's an interesting tale that we might get into
well, why don't we do it now?
Later.
Okay. You want to get into the Donnellan's situation?
Sure, yeah. As much of the community knows, last budget cycle, we were proposing to acquire a couple cruisers because our marked cars had in excess of 100,000 miles on them, and police cars, the actual miles don't really tell the story. It's the engine miles also. So even though a car has 100,000 miles on it, it has about 225 miles on the engine because of the amount of idle time. So during that process, we were told that there were no funds to acquire cruisers. And we were quite worried at the department that we were going to endanger the officers that were in the vehicles, but also expend a great deal of money keeping those vehicles on the road. So I asked the selectmen if we could find alternate funding sources, and they told me to go out and do a little exploration. We ended up putting out a RFP, request for proposal, for advertising on our cars. To the best of my knowledge and CNN's knowledge, the first department in the country to do that, and we ended up acquiring 2 vehicles with advertising on them, one from Donlin Supermarket and the other from Acton Toyota. And in conjunction with that program, we were lucky enough to receive an anonymous donation of $30,000 from a private citizen, so we were able to acquire 3 cars.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yes, yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. And can we call this a pilot program? To your knowledge, of other departments picked up on this and maybe?
Actually, numerous departments throughout the country have contacted me, and I've sent them all the paperwork that describes the program and the forms that we use to send it out to bid, and also copies of the contracts that we have with the companies. In Littleton, it was actually voted by town meeting to be a pilot program. As you can imagine, such a thing, putting advertising on public vehicles, it can be controversial. And people were quite worried that the cars were going to look like NASCARs, and that we would be beholden to the companies that advertised. Both understandable concerns. So as a result, we decided to promote the program as a 3-year pilot, restricted to the Littleton Police Department. We are just finishing the first year of the program. I really have not heard any negatives in regards to the program since its inception.
No, and in fact, it's very tastefully done.
Thank you.
And you can barely see.
It's somewhat innocuous, yes, it is.
Very much so.
Most people's exposure to a police car is from behind when they're in traffic. So we didn't want to do anything that compromised that view from the citizens that we have contact with. Either from behind, stopping them for a motor vehicle infraction, or passing them in traffic on our way to an emergency. So we didn't want anything to confuse them. So we stuck to the rear quarters and the back bumper of the vehicle for the advertising, so it would be much more of a passive exposure.
And it's certainly come across that way.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you, that worked.
Okay, now I believe you mentioned you've been here since 1982. We're sitting here on Route 495, on the path of growth. Your I won't call them problems, but the things that come up for police department have expanded so much in the last, where are we now, 25 years.
Correct.
And I have a hunch that the police force isn't a heck of a lot bigger now than it was back then, although the problems are.
As we just covered, I was the 14th officer added to the department, and that's where we currently are now. In addition to that, we have 4.5 full-time dispatchers who obviously serve a tremendous position within our department. But the changes that have taken place are incredible. When I came here, there were approximately 7,000 residents, and now we have almost 9,000. But the traffic has grown way beyond that. Not only are we on 495, but we're on Route 2, which is a main thoroughfare from the western part of the state. And as you know, as real estate prices climb, people continue to move west. However, they continue to be employed in the east, so they end up coming through our town. That is probably the biggest change of all, the traffic. And then because of that change, that seems to be the overwhelming quality of life concern of the residents of Littleton. And that's the transient traffic that goes through their neighborhoods and past their driveways. For an example, 495 obviously crosses Route 2A and Route 119. And we obviously get quite a bit of traffic through our town through those thoroughfares. each of those, 119 in the area of 495 handles approximately 20,000 vehicles a day, which is a tremendous amount of traffic for a two-lane road in the town of Littleton that only has 9,000 constituents or citizens. Newtown Road, which has become a cut-through from Route 2 to the Acton area, handles over 7,000 vehicles a day. And that is just simply a paved country road.
I would never imagine that, because I know the area well.
Right. Neshoba Road handles approximately 2,500 vehicles a day, and that is nothing more than a horse path. You know, so the changes that we have seen are incredible, and the fact that we have not kept up with them is equally incredible.
What kind of interaction, John, do you have with the state police in that area? Now, we're painting a swath here from 495, 119, 2A to 128.
Right. The Concord Barracks of the State Police handles the area that encompasses Littleton. And so they go from the Rotary to 495,
okay,
up to Route 3, down to 128 and to Waltham, and then back out Route 2. And to my knowledge, the personnel that they have covering that on a given shift is 3 troopers. Now, obviously, if there's a significant event on Route 3 or 128 or anywhere, at least 2 of those troopers go to that scene in order to manage it effectively. So as a result, the other portions of their area are left to 1 trooper if he or she is available, or to the local municipal police department. So as a result of that, we spend a significant amount of time responding to 495 and Route 2.
So if a truck overturns on 128, you've got 3 state troopers to cover this big area that we're talking about. So
Correct.
At least a couple of them are going to be dispatched
that
there.
Scene. Exactly.
So now you're top heavy with responsibility here on 495.
Correct.
Because you don't have the state coverage.
Right. So many times we will get a call from them that they are tied up in an incident, we have a report of an accident, and we will respond, or else we will get the initial call and we will respond. Obviously, if someone is in need of assistance out on the highway, it doesn't matter if they're one of our citizens or not. It's our job and our duty and our obligation to get out there and to assist them to the best of our ability. And many times that comes down to medical assistance. Because we have a call fire department which is manned by volunteers or call firefighters from 6 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning, we are the primary medical responders or initial medical responders for any incident, either it being one of our citizens' homes or out on the roadway. So it's quite urgent for us to get there and to take control of a scene initially, and then once it's officiated, over to pass it on. So. Okay,
during this time that you've been here in Littleton, relatively speaking, have you seen much of an increase in, unfortunately, crime, traffic violations?
Absolutely. Not only have we had an increase in traffic, but along with that transient traffic and the mobility that our society continues to gain, and the proximity that we have to our highways, the more we fall victim to crimes that are related to that. Breaking and enterings within vehicles, because we are so accessible from the highway, easy to get off, easy to make their hit, easy to get back on the highway before anyone notices anything is awry. Drunk driving incidents, although they have gone way down since I started, They still are quite prevalent in our community. Larcenies, which is a straight theft from someone, certainly is prevalent in our community and any other community. So along with the traffic, we certainly do have a rise in other criminal activity. Drug activity, when I first came here, you know, the Littleton High School kids, I knew them and I knew where they were on a Friday and Saturday night. And sometimes you would say, okay, I know where they are and I can keep tabs on them, and that's fine. Let them do their thing, and that's it. But now, kids have so much money and have so much mobility because they have their own vehicles and so forth. They seem to leave the town and go elsewhere. And that is somewhat worrisome to me. I like the fact that, you know, I had a group of kids out in the woods and I could put my hands on them and have conversation with them and deal with them in a very intimate manner, as Littleton is. But now that doesn't always take place, and that's somewhat worrisome. Yeah.
Okay. The police station. I've heard that we're going to be perhaps expanding where we are right now?
The police station. That is an issue that we at the department and the townspeople have been looking into prior to my becoming chief. Tom O'Day, I believe in 1996, I have a memo that he sent to the Board of Selectmen in regards to the condition that the department was working under and the cramped quarters and the safety issues. In 1999, we began a process that resulted in the town purchasing land on Route 119, the old
if you can't stop, wave here.
Stan's Big Acres, if you can't stop, wave, which at some point, if we build down there, I hope to incorporate into our sign. And we purchased that land, the town did, for $525,000. It's a little over 6 acres. And in addition to that, the town funded the design of a station, which got to 95% complete. And that was to the tune of $300,000. So we're into this process for $1 million. However, the process was stalled approximately 3 years ago due to other building considerations in town, and which I have a great deal of understanding and sympathy for. Specifically the schools. I have said many times that the educational process of school building is much more important to the educational process than a police building is to the policing process. However, at some point, the policing process becomes compromised, and that's the point that we're at right now. And have been for quite a while. So it was my hope that now that we have addressed the basic needs of our school children and the facilities that they do this great work in, it's my hope that we will now address the needs of the police department and the fire department. One of the newest developments in regards to our current facility, the reason we purchased that land on Route 119 was because our current site was found to be unable to be expanded upon because of the septic system. The septic system is in failure, and in order to fix that, we would have to raise the septic system 3 to 5 feet out of the ground. Well, the septic system is currently under all of our parking. So that would render that site useless. So as a result, that land on 119 was bought. Well, since that time, we have discovered that we can be connected to the high school septic system through sewerage on Route 2A. And actually, the town just passed this fall a warrant article to study and design that process. So it's my belief that sometime during the summer, we will move forward, hopefully, with the actual hookup of that. So as a result of our ability to do that, we have resurrected our ability to use our present site. And it is our intention to move forward and examine, with the assistance of the residents of Littleton, where they would like us to be. One at the new site, or two where we currently are. And we are hoping to bring forward a warrant article to town meeting in May to fund a study to redesign our current site. And the current idea is to knock down the police station and the rear fire barn, and to build an addition off of the current fire station that would expand the fire operation and then create a new police station. So that is an exciting new option at that site.
It sounds very exciting.
Yeah.
Very logical.
Yeah,
very,
hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So it'll be up to the townspeople to decide where they would like us to go. If they decide for us to stay on Foster Street, what they would like to do with that site down on Route 119 that the town is currently paying for, and hopefully move on from there.
Okay, John. You know, I've been in a police vehicle once. I'd like to go in one again. I wonder if there's any possibility if I could go into one of your vehicles and just take a look at the equipment, see how it works.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the only time I was in a police vehicle, I was 18 years old.
Are you sure you want to reveal this?
I was with a friend. We were hitchhiking.
You were victims.
We were hitchhiking from Chicago to Philadelphia.
Really?
We were on the Ohio Turnpike. True story. Police car pulled up. Get in the car. You're under arrest.
State highway.
State highway.
Yes.
Didn't even dawn on us.
It's illegal. Yes.
Went down to the courthouse. We were exonerated. So I do not have a police record. I'm clean.
For that, anyway.
For anything.
So,
could we take
absolutely.
You have a lot of sophisticated equipment in there. I know that.
Technology, the advancements in technology are just phenomenal. When I first started, it was a radio, and that was it. And now we have computers in the cars that give us information instantaneously. If we want to run a motor vehicle plate, we can get the owner's information, any criminal history they have, any motor vehicle history that they have, any issues about criminal records associated with firearms, all kinds of great information is available to us. They can also do their reports from their car and get them into the computer within the station. So there's a wireless connection there. So that is a huge advancement that we have made. We also carry additional weaponry because the way our society has changed. Quite simply, the bad guys have good equipment. And in order for us to effectively manage any situation, we have to have equal to or better equipment. So we have made advances in that regard also. So the cruisers are well equipped. A fully outfitted car costs approximately $36,000. The initial car costs about 22 or 24, and the additional 14 is equipment that we put into the vehicles. Wow. So those three vehicles that we've acquired have saved the community approximately $108,000. So it's quite a significant cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well, look, thank you for coming here.
Thanks for having me,
And,
and us, the police department.
Giving us, sharing your thoughts with us, and you're going to set me up to.
Absolutely. We'll get you in there with a camera, and you can bring that
Okay.
that technology right to people's living room.
John, thank you again.
Okay, my pleasure. Thank you.
What you gonna do? Yeah. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
That was a nice conversation with Chief Kelly. Now I'd like everyone to meet Sergeant Lisa Bonney.
How are you?
How are you, Lisa?
Very well, thank you.
Now, you're wearing a lot of different articles of communication protection. Could you kind of describe what we have here?
Sure, I'll start with the most basic that everyone thinks of when they think of the police, and that's handcuffs. I carry them on the back of my belt here, just for sheer space. I don't seem to have a lot. These are hinge handcuffs. It's really a matter of officer preference, what they would like to carry, whether it's hinge or another type is a chain, but basically they're all the same. So this is my handcuffs. The next thing that I have is pepper spray, and this is also known as OC spray. It's basically ground up cayenne pepper mixed with a liquid propellant that we use on a subject occasionally. So this is pepper spray. The next article we'll go to is my baton. This extends out to approximately 21 inches. This is a monadnock expandable baton. This is a power tip that's on it. It is a steel baton, and it has a button right here that allows for easy closure that I can store right away. The next thing I have is a new addition to the department. It is a taser. The model we carry is an X26. It's yellow, as you can see. The reason we have yellow is for officer safety. It's also for the public if they happen to drive by or see an officer who has this device out, to realize that it's probably not a firearm since it is yellow in nature, so it's a safety option. So this is the taser.
Now, Lisa, I know this was just introduced. Was it at the town meeting?
Selectmen meeting
Select
Monday.
meeting, Mark? And is this something that, to your knowledge, that a lot of departments now have?
It's a growing number of departments that are carrying it. We're fortunate enough to be a smaller department that allows every officer that's actually on patrol to carry it, to whereas other larger departments have a specialized unit that have maybe only 2 or 3 taser units supplied to those officers, and they're the only ones that are authorized to carry it. Unlike in Littleton, we have all of our officers who are full-time in cruiser reserves, certified and trained to carry the taser.
Okay.
So basically, this is the taser. This is one of the cartridges that carries the prongs for probe deployment. There's 2 types of deployments that fit in different levels of our use of force curriculum. Probe deployment is basically like everyone thinks of when they see the darts, for lack of a better term, shooting out of the cartridge that's in the front here. It's propelled by nitrogen, and that is for somebody who is considered what we call assaultive bodily harm. An officer perceives the subject that they're dealing with as someone who's going to be assaultive and causing bodily harm to either themselves or another person that they're dealing with. With this taser, I actually got what's called the Extended Digital Power Magazine. So what that allows for is an officer to carry an additional taser cartridge at the bottom here. This is basically just for storage right here. This also, if needed for more than one subject, could be loaded into the front of the taser at any point in time. The Extended Digital Power Magazine, there's a computer screen you can see right here. It's a very small screen. That what happens is, at any point in time an officer utilizes the taser, I have a device that's very similar to this black piece right here that I can install into the base of the taser gun that's going to download all the information from it. The time it was used, how many seconds it was used, the temperature outside, the date. It's quite a complex little computer that exists within here. So that way there's very little room for officer error. Also, within each of these cartridges, there are called aphids. They're little confetti-type pieces that have a specific number assigned to each of the cartridges. Therefore, there's no confusion as to which taser gun was fired by whom, because each one of them has a specific number assigned to each cartridge.
Now, Lisa, does it also make any difference on the effectiveness as to how much clothing or protection that the person would be wearing? I have a sweater, obviously, heavy coat. If it were summertime, I had a t-shirt on, it's going to have any less of an effect.
It shouldn't have any less of effect. Ideal situation would be someone wearing a t-shirt. However, we do have the probes that are extra penetration probes. Therefore, they're designed to penetrate a certain diameter of clothing. Like, for example, in the wintertime, I would still be able to shoot the taser at you and receive, hopefully, the desired effects, even though you have thick clothing on. However, someone in a t-shirt, obviously, there's going to be less room for error as far as a probe sticking in a scarf or a jacket. It's probably more likely to actually penetrate directly to the person's skin, which would give a better desired effect. Okay? So this is the taser. And just, again, for sheer necessity as space, I have to carry it on my leg. Other officers will have it on their belt just because they have more room. So it's no different device, just in a different location. The next piece of equipment we have would be right here, which is actually the magazines that go to my firearm. These are additional rounds of ammunition that I carry, two exactly the same. And I also have one loaded in my firearm, ready to go. This is just basically for storage.
So it's not like Barney Fife where you keep the bullet in your pocket till you need it?
No, we're a little bit more advanced than that
Okay,
now.
great.
Yes. So, and the last thing that everyone else is familiar with is actually our firearm. Here in Littleton, we carry Glock 40 caliber firearms. Officers have the choice between the 22 or the 23. Basically, it's just a size difference in the frame. Some officers have smaller hands, therefore they choose the different size weapon, but it's essentially the same caliber and weapon.
Okay.
Okay?
Now, for communication, Lisa, are you tied in right now, for instance, with the dispatcher and all of the other officers who are on duty at the time?
Yes, if I had my radio on right now, I would be tied in with dispatch and with the other officers that are on the road at this time.
Okay.
Yes. And the last thing, which is also very important, though people don't remember that it actually, that we carry it, is rubber gloves. It's universal precautions. Anytime that we deal with anyone, whether it's somebody that's sick or possibly has a cut or anything like that, you'll see more than likely all officers will put their gloves on before we deal with someone. It's nothing personal. It's just to protect us and protect you from any germs or diseases that might be going on. But all officers also carry rubber gloves. Okay, inside our cruiser, we have quite a bit of equipment at our disposal. Probably the thing that we get commented on most, since everyone seems to be familiar with it, is a laptop computer. This laptop computer ties in with our station computer as far as all of the information that we have in-house in dealing with someone. It also ties into the registry of motor vehicles, which is probably the most commonly used aspect of it, where we can run a person's license plate and basically get everything from where they live to when their registration expires, their vehicle information. And then also tied into that is what's called the warrant management system, which we're able to find out if somebody has a warrant that's active or not at this time. So that's pretty much what we use as far as our laptop computer for.
Lisa, does that also give you any kind of a brief history of their driving record itself?
It could be. It's called a driver history, or another function as far as the computer aspect of it that we use. It's called KQ, and that basically can pull up a person's driver history from as way back as the 80s till present day. Yes. So I guess from there we would go to our radios. We have several radios here. This would be the main radio that we actually communicate with our dispatch on. That's with this microphone here. We can also select a function on this that scans the other area towns that have the same type of frequencies that we do. For example, Boxborough or Groton. We can also hear and talk to on our radio. As long as we just flip a dial, we can go onto their frequency to speak with them directly. Westford has a different radio system, so we have a separate radio that's actually at the top of the console here that allows the same functions to take place. We could talk to Westford Police Department directly if we needed to, but we just have to go to a different radio on that.
Excuse me, now, out of all the functions, technology that has changed over the years, it seems the radio has kind of stayed the same. You know, you still have to use the hand thing and push the button. I mean, most people in cars today wear wireless or hands-free. Is that anything that the police ever thought of using?
I'm I'm not specifically familiar with regards to the radio systems technology aspect of it. Personally, would it be fantastic if I could just wear a Bluetooth or something along that? Absolutely. However, until something comes along that offers that type of device for us, this is the nature of the beast that we are stuck with at this time. So,
Well, now I know how I'm going to make my first million.
there you go. So below the Westford Police Scanner, that also ties into our NEMLEC. We're part of the Northeast Regional Law Enforcement Council, which also feeds into this radio, is our state police scanner, or a scanner that basically is from Radio Shack that you could program any police department in. We primarily use it for the state police since we do overlap two barracks. We have Concord and we have the Leominster barracks. So a lot of times we can hear whether or not a trooper is in need of assistance or somebody is possibly disabled on the highway directly from the transmissions that their dispatch is given. And however, we cannot talk to them directly. We can only listen to them. Below that, we have all of the light controls within the car. That's for the overhead blue lights, the back deck blue lights, the arrow board, and it's also our siren and our air horn located within this panel that's below the scanner for the state police. We also have a flashlight that's buried in here. That's definitely an essential for every officer. A lot of times officers have their own personal flashlight within their cruiser bag that they bring into the car each shift, but we do have one in each of the cruisers. The next thing we have, we'll go back here. We carry Mossberg shotguns. These are loaded, ready to go. The next item that you see next to it is the Bushmaster AR-15. This is also, again, ready to go at any point in time. Unlike larger departments that may have a SWAT team access 24 hours a day, we could be called to a situation like, say, an active shooter situation, possibly at the high school or one of the office buildings, that we might have to neutralize a threat more quickly than if we were to wait for a tactical response team. So that's why we carry these other long arms in our cruisers all the time with us. From there, the thing probably that everyone knows the most and dislikes the most is our radar unit. It's a very small unit that sits at the top of our dash, and there's one radar head at the top of the windshield and also one in the back. Some of the questions that people often have for us is, how do you know that I was speeding? You were driving in the opposite direction as I was. Well, we have the ability to monitor traffic from both a moving and a stationary position. So I could be parked on the side of the road and I could be tracking vehicles coming from behind me or in front of me, or I could also be driving and have someone's speed that's traveling towards me also registered on the radar unit.
Now, Lisa, at what distance does that pick up the vehicle, whether you're parked stationary or moving on the road?
It picks it up quite a distance away. Myself personally, if I'm performing radar, if there's any possible chance that another vehicle may have crossed in front of me to disturb a reading or that I'm unsure of it, there's enough cars out there that I'll just wait for the next person to come along to ensure that I have the proper target that I've actually stopped with the radar unit.
Okay, and you also mentioned that you have a bit of a tie-in with the neighboring town. Suppose you were monitoring the speed of a car going down Route 110 toward the Westford line, and it crosses into Westford. Are you allowed to continue, or?
For speeding, if I was trying to stop someone for speeding and they crossed into the town next door, I would have already had to try and initiate a seizure. Basically, I would have had to activate my blue lights and showed some type of authority that I wanted the vehicle to stop. That's called fresh and continued pursuit if the vehicle then goes from my town into another town without stopping for me when I've showed my authority, which is a different offense other than speeding. It then becomes basically failure to submit to a police officer, which then makes it criminal, which allows me to go beyond the town limits to do so.
Now, can you, some people have fuzzbusters or whatever they call them.
Yes.
Can you tell if somebody has something like that?
I personally, it's such a small device that to have someone drive by me to see if they have that, I would have to be paying attention to what that device, where it would be located on the dash. So that's not something that we usually give a lot of thought of.
Now, most of the time, you may clock somebody going a certain speed, maybe they're a little bit over. Do you almost 99% of the time see the numbers drastically go down when they spot you?
Well, just to clear up, clocking is different than radar. Clocking is when you're actually traveling a distance behind the vehicle and keeping that same or approximately the same distance behind the vehicle. As far as the radar, I absolutely see the numbers drop quite a bit whenever my car comes into view. And if that's what it takes to get somebody to slow down, then that's great. This right here is one of our new defibrillator devices. We just received training in this about 2 weeks ago from the fire department. They're brand new devices that make it even simpler to use should we have to come to a situation that is required to use.
Okay, this is the back seat of the Cruiser, and why don't you just tell us some of the features of the back seat for that we can point out here to the viewers.
First thing you'll probably notice is the lack of space. That's designed for a reason, to constrict movement, to prevent kicking. Hopefully, if a subject was to try and kick, their legs pretty much don't have a lot of room to do so. We have the plexiglass up here to hopefully prevent anyone from spitting on us or anything else like that. There's a window that slides right over in front of where your camera is that allows us to completely close off the person that's in the back from us to prevent anything like that spitting or yelling at us and things like that. You can still hear the person, it just makes it a little bit quieter for us. Still seatbelts. We do still seatbelt our prisoners once we place them in the back seat. And that's essentially it. This is steel here, again, to prevent the kicking and things like that so they can't gain access to us in the front.
Lisa, thank you very much. Great information.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having you.
Littleton Police Department, enormous contribution in this small town. Thank you for watching.
So turn around and put your hands behind your back. Spread your feet apart for me. Bend over slightly at the waist. Turn your head away from me. Put your hands up. Don't move. And he's done.
All right, take them away. So how's that feel, Bob?
No more thorn in your side.
Is it
No, it feels like I'm not going anywhere.
good?
Yeah.
It did its
I
job.
don't have a key.